Hello and welcome back to my channel, Chess Capture Threats. Today's episode, episode 68 of the Chess Guide, we'll be going over an example game between Magnus Carlsen and Sergey Karjakin. So, this is a game from the 2016 World Chess Championship, and in this game, as you can see on the right, Magnus Carlsen plays a brilliant move here. Now this is actually going to be the last move on the board, so I will show you how good this game was as well at the time, as this was when Magnus was obviously in his dominant form, obviously, and, was one of the best at the time, if not the best. So, let's go through it, shall we? So, 93.0% accuracy to 84.1, and that will show as Magnus starts off with e4. Now, obviously, the normal, is e5, but obviously one of the most played openings in all of chess as black, c5. So, we're going to Sicilian. Now, he's going to follow up with knight f3, still carrying on normal e4 prep as usual. Now, d6, again, another book move. This is what you do. This knight's going to come out, stuff like this. And what you're going to see is this d4 push, as we see now. And then you have this whole trade. And here, obviously, you don't want to put the knight out now. Otherwise, obviously, you will have this whole capture. And it's not going to be very good for black. So, here, this knight move obviously puts pressure on this, forcing quite a simple few other ideas like f3 or this knight coming out. As we see, another book move. So, there's a few more book moves here, but as we see, just getting the pieces out. Now, this c4 push is vital, as we're getting more pieces of pawn, should I say, into the centre. Plus, we're stopping other pieces from kind of attacking this sort of flank area. Now, a5 here, and we're going to go to our last book move here, as very surprised this is still part of a line of some sort. So now here we have bishop to e3, and this is the first move. Karjakin going for a more attacking approach here, so obviously forcing the knight back. Now, don't know about c1, it's very, very positional like, but maybe I would have preferred d2 here for Magnus, but I'm not too sure. Knight c3 here, very nice move, obviously putting 2 onto this, but that's not obviously the biggest thing, as what we can see that Sergey does now is queen to a5, putting a pin onto this knight now, forcing, some other pieces to come out here and help that. So queen d2 stops that pin. It does kind of put a pin on the queen, but it's not obviously nearly as much. Now, knight a6, not the best move here. I was very surprised. I feel like he was trying to accomplish the same thing with going to c6. Here, I feel like if he wanted to maybe even attack the centre at this time, but obviously, this move maybe limits the attacking that he has against him. So, we have that. Now, obviously, this bishop b2 move, looking at castling, as after knight to c5. Obviously, now we see his approach. Now, again, I don't like this approach entirely because, we can just capture. Queen captures, and it's not the best. But even if we don't capture, it's not really attacking too much, as the knight has it all covered. It might just be trying to protect this pawn for all we know. Castling, as we know, the only thing I would say that's a little bit difficult with the castling is this whole line is open now. Just the bishop protecting it. He's going to have to keep that bishop there, I think, now. Bishop d7, rook b1. So again, rid of that another a2 pawn like protector here. But that's fine because obviously nothing's attacking it. And soon, I guess, it's going to be this sort of idea. Now, rook on f to c8 here. Now, this, a very nice move. Could have moved this rook, but I feel like he's, preparing something Sergey here. And this rook obviously wasn't in play, so it's good that he's trying to do something. Now, b4, and he's trying to play a fork here, but obviously there is only one move to stop this, and that is en passant. So obviously the weird way of capturing the pawn here. Now, obviously the way you take back is you don't take with the knight here, because you're kind of ruining a very nice idea of taking with the pawn straight away and carrying on this threat. So he has to retreat here. So as you can see on the evaluation bar, he's 0.87 up, so nearly a point up here, which is very good. Now, knight to d3 here, very nice move, obviously getting that knight out, and, everything's protected here as white. Black, he's in a very nice position. I just don't think there's anything other than this open rook, which could be useful later. He needs to double that up, in my opinion, but if he doesn't, this rook might be trapped, and these bishops, they're not doing too much. This one's just, holding some lines. This one's just trapped. So, knight to e6 now. Should have captured maybe, as they say, but I'll be honest, maybe he doesn't want to keep that here. Now, knight to b4, very nice move. Now he puts his bishop to c6, kind of in that crossfire of it all. Now he's trying to get his bishop out, but I feel like he's trying to get the wrong one here. And Now rook to d1, h5. Now he's trying to do a push on the king side. I'll be honest, Sergey doesn't really have anything other than maybe like, after this pawn push, he's got to create some sort of attack. This queen and bishop battery is now going to be kind of trying to haunt that sort of spot now, and I feel like it could be quite the struggle here for him. Now, bishop back to f1 here. Very positional play here that Magnus is doing. Not as usual as he normally does, especially nowadays. But these sort of moves, stopping this pawn coming in. Now, queen to f2. I really like this move. Very surprised that the engine here doesn't like it. Attacking this pawn and defending this king while having these two nice rooks, especially this one being open. Nearly a point up now for white as well in this scenario. Because, again, this is a World Championship match, so these will be going on for 4 to 5 hours, and between that sort of time, the bare minimum of it's like 2 or 3 hours, so it's really a long game here, and they're just going to be playing positional moves, trying to get the best out of every single piece. It goes down to trying to get the king or a H pawn even into the nicest spot. So now I do think there's a bit of a cluster of pieces here for black, and he needs to sort that out with immediate effect, because these two knights are in a perfect position for white. These 3 pieces, maybe not the bishop so much, maybe that could do with being in one of these squares really, its own pawn blocking him in, but other than that, every piece is doing something for white, and it's quite strong here. Now g3, again, something that queen f2 is a nice move, but I feel like this one's just doing a bit too much, as I feel like Karjakin missed something here. He could have really brought in his pieces. This was a perfect opportunity to start attacking. Maybe even with the knight here. Anything. But I feel like this rook move just doesn't really do too much. It's attacking a pawn that's already protected. Now, my guess is obviously he's trying to double up, as he does do now. But it just doesn't look too good, because where can he put this rook? Rooks belong on the 7th rank, but he can't. He's got 2 knights and a queen all on this square. Now, the knight comes back to c2 for Magnus. A very strong move attacking this rook. And it has to retreat. Now, obviously, again, remembering, look at how this bishop here just, blocks these 3 from doing anything together other than being on white squares. Knight to b4. Now, rook to a5. Knight c2. We're just seeing a bit of repeating of moves here. Now, not the best move, as there was a miss here. Missed opportunity just to move the king or something, get out of the way, and try and win this pawn. Now, trying to double up here is white, as I'll speed things up a little bit, because this is where it gets to the kind of point where they're all swapping stuff off now, as you see here. But after all this, Magnus is a point up, but he has sacrificed this whole open file now. So there is a pawn here up for the taking, but he's not going to take it just yet. Now he's going to bring his knight in. Now he's going to sacrifice a pawn here, but what I don't think he has seen is a very nice move, as if you can see it, there's a fork in this position of knight to d4 here. Very surprised he missed this sort of idea here. But it's still not over. Magnus is only a point up, because look at these 2 pawns that black has. And now you're going to see we're getting towards an endgame here. And as we see, these rooks, at this point, I believe Magnus was winning. And he wouldn't mind a draw here, because obviously there's like 12 games minimum in a championship. If he's, winning by 2 points, if he just gets all draws from then on, he'll be obviously winning it. Now, queen to d2, obviously tripling up the rooks and queens here now. They're trying to move the queen about here, Sergey, but it's just not enough, as there goes a pawn. And now, close to mate in 1 here, but obviously the queen just about block it in time. And queen to f2 is actually a mistake here, as technically it says mate in 8, but obviously after this there is an amazing move here, as I feel like no one would have seen this, but queen to h6, and that is going to be it. Now, the reason why this is that after capture, this is checkmate, and if you catch with king, as you have to do one or the other, then this is checkmate as well. So there's a forced checkmate there with queen sacrifice. Very good move there to finish the game, and that is it for today's video. Now, what did we learn? What we learned here is how positional play can have its advantages, especially in a longer sort of game, but you've got to bide your time. You can't spend, just rushing to a middle game, swap everything off, and then you draw or you lose. You won't win most of the time if you do that. Now, obviously, what we saw there is he just went slowly, and then towards the end there, you saw how he just swapped everything off methodically, and got that fork, and was able to in the end win from a very nice tactic here. It was going to be mate 8 anyway, they said here, from I think this position, because after you block here, I think he can sacrifice, and then there's a whole bunch of checks here. So it's like, I'm pretty sure, don't know exactly here, not too, but I believe it's something like this, where they're forced into a position where they are actually blocked. Yeah, the queen would have to go here, and then wherever it goes, it's checkmate. So, hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. It's episode 68 of the Chess Guide. So, thank you, and bye-bye.